I'm seeing you today because of a question or a concern you had about a particular medication. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the concern that you had was, it looks like you just saw Dr. Tahiro a couple weeks ago on the 10th. Looks like the issue was around a medication called Adderall. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are around that.
Well, it's so far been the only medication that's actually helped that I've taken. I spent most of my high school career on other antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and antipsychotics, and they don't really help. And then I got prescribed Adderall, and it helped.
Who prescribed that for you?
I don't remember the doctor's name, but I saw him through Dr. Gary Robori in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, okay.
Correct.
And how long ago was that?
A long time ago, at least 15 years.
Okay. Were you an adult or an adolescent or a child then?
Adult.
Okay. And how long did you take it?
I don't remember exactly, but the doctor ended up moving and kind of left me flailing in the wind. So I ended up not having anything. And
Okay. And then since then, you haven't been retried on it because of whatever the doctors told you about their concerns.
Right. But I told them that I didn't have any of those issues and I would rather take as little medication as possible. And it doesn't really make sense to take things that might work when we've already got something that's proven to.
Okay. Have you been able to have the records from that treatment episode forwarded to your other treating doctors?
I signed a contract saying that they could.
There is an issue. So Bradford has a guardian, and the guardian hasn't signed consent. Bradford gave us his consent, but we can't legally do it until the guardian signs consent.
Okay, gotcha. So what's your understanding of you've been in and out of the hospital a fair amount over the years. What's your understanding of what you're being treated for right now?
I couldn't really say. I've been told that they're trying to treat the schizophrenia.
Okay.
But they haven't been giving me anything that works. Most of what I do is patriotic movement, and I've got videos proving my character on YouTube. But right now it feels like they're just throwing things at me that are not helping.
Okay.
I've sent reports to the FBI, the DOD. I was put undercover for treatment for the mentally unique/ill, and I haven't been able to get in contact with anybody to resolve that particular issue.
Okay.
If I could get in contact with Olivia Elizabeth Munn, she knows that it's one of her doctors that we established the trying to get proper treatment for the mentally unique/ill.
Okay. And so when did all of that happen?
Before I was 10.
Okay, so when you were quite young?
Yeah.
Okay. And so as a child they had you go undercover?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't the first time. International paramilitary operation.
Okay.
Foreign and domestic, so I was doing domestic.
Okay. And how do you, Olivia Munn, the actress?
Correct.
And how do you know her?
Since we were babies.
Okay, all right. But you don't have any contact with her currently?
No, I've been trying to because she told me to do everything I can to get back to her. But I haven't
When
been
did she tell you that?
over 20 years ago.
Okay.
And then I got kind of
Right.
like brainwashed with all the medications and happenstance and
Okay. As far as you know, has she made any attempt to block your ability to contact her? Does she have a protection order or anything like that?
not as far as I'm
you know?
aware.
Okay. Um, okay. And what is it about the Adderall that what are the symptoms that you feel like you have that the Adderall could address?
It helps with my back and neck injuries. It helps with my sleep. It helps with my depression. And I'm what's the word for it? Better at handling the situations, life, while on it, like paying attention
Okay.
and focusing.
How does it help with the back injury?
I don't know. My back hurts less when I was on it, and it also helped with my sleep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little paradoxical to help with your sleep because it's actually a stimulant.
I think it might be because of my broken back, where it relieves the pain and I can relax and fall asleep.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about what you remember from when you were in school, like elementary school, junior high, high school. How did you do academically?
Not very well.
Okay.
Not in the Bradford McHugh, but I was very good at school when I was under the name of Dio Lucifer. International schooling, Ivy League.
So that was in college.
Yeah, when I was very young.
Okay.
And then I was
Okay.
told to do bare minimal during this timeline so we could establish that I had this knowledge and it wasn't taught to me through the schooling.
So you took on a different identity and then you were
Indeed.
able to perform academically under that other identity?
I was supposed to do bare minimal. So it would
Okay.
be easier to see that the intelligences that I have are not from where I was taught.
Okay. And you said that was the Dio Lucifer name?
Correct.
Okay. When you were in treatment as Bradford McHugh, when you were in school as Bradford McHugh, as in elementary school or junior high, were you in accelerated classes? Did you have supported classes? Do you remember?
I had supported classes. I had some, I was in science AP.
Okay. Did you have like an education plan? Like, did you have an aide that kind of was with you at school, or did you have some classes with the full class and some classes that were supported?
Eventually, I was sent to a hospital for alternative schooling.
Okay.
And that was in Evanston and Winnetka. Winnetka.
And do you remember? I mean, and they may not have told you because you were just young at that time. But did they tell you what it was they were treating you for to get you the alternative schooling? What academic support they thought you needed?
One of the things was dyslexia.
Okay. That can make it really difficult to read.
Indeed.
Were you able to figure out a strategy, or is that something that is still hard? Do the letters still swim on the page?
No, I'm much better. I don't put words that aren't there anymore, and
Okay.
Sometimes I have to double read, but
Okay. So you were able to figure out a strategy to help yourself with that?
indeed.
At that time, did they offer you any medication that you recall?
Indeed. Haldol, Geodon, Seroquel, uh, what was... They had me on an anti-seizure medication. I can't remember the name of it right now.
Depakote or
Depakote.
Tegretol or Trileptal?
I was on like 3,000 milligrams of Depakote.
Depakote, okay.
300, between 300 and 1,200 milligrams of Seroquel, 7 to 10 milligrams of Geodon, Paxil, Prozac. None of which
So this
did
was
any.
all while you were in this alternative schooling?
Indeed.
Okay. So you were there for quite some time?
About 4 years. I was also sent to a residential treatment program in Provo, Utah.
Okay. And that, so the alternative schooling where you went initially, you said that was in Evanston?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Was that associated with Northwestern, do you know?
I don't know. I
Not
did
sure.
go
That's
to
okay.
Ricemore in my early age, which could have some affiliation with Northwestern University.
When you were on the Adderall in Kenosha, do you remember what the dose was?
I think it was either 10 or 20 milligrams.
Okay. And how long was it that you were prescribed that before the prescriber left?
About a year.
Okay. And you were in the hospital at all during that time?
No.
Okay.
Not while I was on Adderall, but after I was out of it. After I had lost contact with the doctor who gave me Adderall, I had some time in the...
Okay. Currently, with the medicines that you're taking, those are primarily for, like you said, psychosis, for schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder. And then it looks like Dr. Tahiro recently started you on a medication called Vibrid.
Oh.
That's to help with depression and anxiety.
I can't say that it's
How
helping.
are you feeling on the current medications that you're taking?
After my night meds, I get sick, nauseous, diarrhea. Just kind of frustrating considering that I could just be taking the things that I've said and I would be better.
Yeah. So, as far as your brain's ability to kind of process sensory information, sight, taste, touch, hearing, that kind of thing, do you feel like your ability to do those things is the same or different from other folks?
Well, I'd have to say different because part of my training and work with the FBI, DOD, the CIA.
And so that work is continuing?
Indeed. I've been posting my work online on my YouTube because I've contacted the FBI and other authorities trying to get things done. And the one positive thing about it is that if there was something that they could argue about me with, they would. And otherwise, they're just maintaining silence.
Okay, so they haven't blocked your ability to contact them, but they also have not responded in any way.
Correct.
Okay. So how do you feel like your perception is different than others?
Well, I have voices that tend to be answers. They don't question. I'm also part of a Manchurian project where they broadcast intelligence to me over the internet.
Okay. And how long has that been going on?
Since I was knee-high to a lamb's tail.
That's a phrase I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
So that's quite young then.
Indeed.
Okay.
Under
So
the
you have a
name
nice
of...
sense of humor.
I try to.
Yeah, he does. He has a real nice sense of
Yeah.
humor.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
very articulate too. He's very good at communicating.
Yeah. No, I can see that. So when you say that the information is transmitted across the internet, do you mean that things are being sent to you in written form, or do you mean that there's something special about the information that you don't have to read anything, it just comes through the internet, through the waves?
It's broadcast. Usually
It's
in...
broadcast.
Yeah. It interrupts
Are
a...
thoughts broadcast as well?
Not mine. Theirs.
Okay.
Mostly they've
Okay.
been, trying to they talk about Olivia Elizabeth Munn quite a bit.
So what did they say about her?
Well, mostly they're they're saying things that they perceive as opposed to things that have actually been established, and they've been trying to say that she's trying to be cruel and unusual punishment when she's already soliloquied what they're saying she did. She has the soliloquy countering what they've been saying. So she told me things a long time ago, and they don't have that information, which it partially proves that it's not my voices, and it proves that they're broadcasting it to me because they don't know enough of the situation to say anything worthwhile.
And you know that they don't know
Because of the way, yeah. They try and badmouth her and say that she's trying to hurt me and things of that sort. But if they knew what we had both had already conversations about,
I see.
yeah.
Do you have any period of time where you're not hearing these things?
Sometimes.
Because it sounds like some of it is quite distressful.
Oh no, part of my enlistment was that people aren't supposed to pretend that the voices on the internet are the voices that I have in my head. And
I see.
yeah, like I can tell that it's not my processes, it's not my logics. They don't have enough of the proper intelligence to be coming up to the proper conclusions.
Okay. So you hadn't, during all of the time that you were at the alternative school, you hadn't been given a stimulant. They hadn't thought that was something that was necessary. It wasn't until you saw this adult psychiatrist in Wisconsin. Is that correct?
Indeed. Like, I spent most of my high school career falling asleep and trying to stay awake with all the...
But you were quite medicated. You were on quite a lot of medication at that time.
Indeed. Quite a lot.
Okay. What's your history with other substances like street drugs or marijuana or alcohol?
During my Dearly Lucifer years, they had given me pretty much everything under the sun to treat my back. I've been on cocaine, methamphetamines, mescaline,
What age?
LSD, very young.
Like middle school or younger?
Younger.
Do you remember the last
And
time
when was
that
the
you...
last time you used cocaine?
I don't remember.
Okay, it's been years.
Yeah.
Okay, great. How about crystal meth or methamphetamine?
A long time.
Okay. And you said LSD or acid
Correct.
you used as a child?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any substance that you've used in the last couple years? Marijuana, alcohol,
I have
cigarettes?
a license for marijuana that I used in New Mexico.
How long ago was
Okay.
that?
I don't know.
In the last 2 or 3 years?
At least.
Do you remember when you were in New Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
What year was it?
2015.
Okay, so about
Okay,
4
so
or
you
5
had
years.
that card in 2015. Okay.
Like, I've been
All right.
on all sorts of things when I was younger, and the only reason why I stopped taking them was my back was broken and I was mostly bedridden, and people were taking my medications and doing stupid things with them, so
Okay.
I
How
had
did
to
your
cut
back
my
get broken?
stunt crew, stunt team, surgery.
Okay. And what year was that?
uh, Early 80s.
Okay. Okay. Um, okay.
Like, I've proven internationally that I'm not a junkie.
So in the early 80s, so you were born when?
According to my paperwork in 1982, but
Do you think that's accurate?
I think it's a guesstimation. From what I recollect, I was given the name and birthday from the Queen of England. Because before
Okay.
that, I was Dio Lucifer, and then I did service in England, and they gave me the name Bradford Tomas McEwen, the birthday January 16th, 1982.
Okay. Okay. Um, do you have a sense that you're much older than that?
Actually, I feel bounced around. Sometimes I feel like I'm older, sometimes I feel like I'm younger.
Okay.
Because I remember there being a period where they didn't age, they just went by the intelligences that I established. So
I see.
they were throwing all sorts
Because
of
for you
numbers
to have
at me.
been, for you to have had your back broken in the early 80s, you would have been a toddler.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you use any alcohol currently?
No.
Okay. Any nicotine?
Yeah.
Okay. About how much?
It varies. Some probably around 4 to 8 cigarettes a day, maybe.
Okay. Do you have any difficulty? Do you use smokeless tobacco as well? Do you use chewing tobacco?
No.
Okay. And do you use a vaporizer at all, or an electronic cigarette, or just regular cigarettes?
At this point, regular cigarettes. I've been thinking about picking up a vaporizer to use other than cigarettes because.
Well, do your research about that, because it's actually not clear that it's a lot better for you. It has its own risks that are non-trivial. So, the best possible outcome would be to see if you could transition to a patch and then get off of it completely, for as far as your overall health, respiratory health especially. Okay. It doesn't look like you're taking much in the way of medications other than what Dr. Otero is prescribing. Just Prilosec, is that all you're taking?
I don't know.
From February.
Not
I'm
sure.
taking
Okay.
at least about 6 pills a day. One during
Okay.
like 4 in the morning and then like 6 at night.
Okay. Okay.
So
Do
I
you
think
have, so Prilosec is a medicine that's used to treat acid reflux or heartburn. Is that something that you struggled with?
Indeed.
that's the only medication that he's prescribed other than the ones that Dr. Tejero prescribed.
Perfect. Okay. All right. All right. And so you have chronic back pain?
Correct.
Okay. But right now you're not even taking anything over the counter for that?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So back pain and fatigue are not typical reasons that Adderall is prescribed.
Well,
And so if you felt like you were struggling, and I'm not hearing a lot in the way of other ADHD specific symptoms, but if you feel like you have a lot of difficulty with concentration and focus, some of that can be related to the schizophrenia that's also being treated. there are treatments for ADHD that are not Adderall, that would be safer with the current medications that you're taking, that you could certainly talk to Dr. Tahiro about. It's certainly the case that your beliefs about your history up until now are very unusual. Would you admit that that's true?
Indeed. I mean,
Yeah,
not
that your
very
life
many
experience, as you describe it, is quite different.
Indeed.
Okay. When you've ended up in hospital, what has usually been, to the best of your understanding, what has usually been the issue that has led to that?
People not doing what they're supposed to, trying to uphold the standard of the country and doing things properly, and people being derelict in duty, conduct on becoming an officer and a citizen, just so they can sedate and pretend like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to.
Okay. So usually when people, especially if it's an involuntary type of hospitalization, usually it's because someone has some concern about safety, usually related either to yourself or to someone else. Like either that your thinking has gotten so altered that you're having difficulty caring for yourself, or you're putting yourself in dangerous situations, or perhaps that your belief system has you feeling so threatened or frightened that you appear to be a threat to other people. Have you had, or do you currently have any outstanding legal issues?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you been incarcerated before?
Yeah.
Or jailed?
A couple of officers jumped me and then said in court that I had attacked them when I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Same thing my
How
dad
long
did.
ago was that?
10 years at least.
Okay. Yeah.
You had an
I'm
issue
sorry that you had that.
back in, what was it, June of 2019, or May of 2019 with your dad?
Yeah.
Wasn't the court involved in that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they wouldn't listen to me or.
When you guys came in, because I know you were running late, did he fill out the PH29 yet or not?
No, he did the vitals
Not
and
yet.
the aims, but we were gonna do that afterwards.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, I did want to get the vital signs done, Bradford, because one of the other relative contraindications with using Adderall medically is rapid heart rate. And according to the records, and you may dispute this, I don't know, but according to previous hospital records, you have a history in the past of a heart rhythm irregularity called intermittent atrial fibrillation, where the top chambers of your heart start beating out of sync and too rapidly with the bottom chambers of your heart. And that is a thing that it's listed as paroxysmal, which means that it's intermittent, that it sort of can kind of come and go. One of the biggest risks of using Adderall in general is heart rhythm dysregulation. So it can disrupt your heart rhythm and cause pretty significant heart issues. Your heart rate already is pretty consistently rapid. So as I'm looking through your vital signs, pretty much, with one exception, in the last 12 months, every time we've checked it here, which has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times we've checked it here, your heart rate has been in what we call the tachycardic range, right? So anything above 100 is considered tachycardia, which just means your heart's beating too fast. And that's been the case since August of 2019. It was 120, 116, 113, and then today it was 117. Certainly that can be related to anxiety, although your blood pressure has generally been pretty good. But having a heart rate that fast, even if you met all the other criteria for taking Adderall, would be a relative contraindication to taking Adderall. okay? It could put your heart into a very serious rhythm, which could harm you or potentially be fatal. So above and beyond everything else, even if I thought you met the criteria for Adderall, which I'm not convinced that you do, that by itself would be enough to say it's not a medically safe thing to do. I
Well,
hear
my
what you're saying
heartbeat is
about
probably
the
being fast
fatigue
because of
and the
broken
feeling
back.
like it helped you in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stimulant, so it does make people feel better. In the same way that even if they don't have ADHD, in the same way that lots of coffee or at high doses, cocaine or crystal meth can make you feel better temporarily while it's in your system. Obviously, Adderall is a more controlled version of those things, but it still stimulates the parts of your brain that make you temporarily feel good. So I don't dispute that you felt better. I think that that's completely possible, and yet still potentially not a good idea long term for your particular physiology, for you to take that specific med.
Does that make sense?
I
I
think there
disagree.
certainly could be a discussion that you could have with Dr. Tahero about these other symptoms that you have, if there are other medications that might address some of those symptoms, at least to some degree, without putting you at the medical risk that the Adderall might. So the antidepressant that you're currently taking, the Vibrid, if you end up not staying with that, or if you talk to Dr. Tahero, there's an antidepressant that, if you haven't tried it before, called Trintellix, which sometimes can help people feel like they have a little bit more energy. It can help with focus and concentration, but it's primarily an antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication, but it does help people with their concentration and focus above and beyond the benefit it gives them for their depression. And it would be more neutral with respect to your heart function.
Well, I'd
So it
rather
would be
take
safer,
something
okay?
that is already proven to work than run around trying things that may work.
I hear you. I think that the difficulty, and we may not be able to resolve this, and you may not be able to resolve this with Dr. Tahero either. I think the difficulty is in understanding and elucidating what you mean by it worked for you.
Well, I
Right.
was
And reconciling that with the risk of now that you've got this heart
Well,
issue.
I'm taking medication that's making me sick when I could be taking medication that makes me better.
I see. I hear what you're saying about the fact that you have side effects with your meds. Have you been working with Dr. Tahero on that as well?
I've been trying to, but she doesn't really pay attention to what I'm saying or establishing. She